Let's find something exciting to read. I can't wait to see what new adventures we can discover today.
Lily and Jake skipped ahead, their faces lit up with excitement and curiosity. They couldn't wait to dive into the world of stories and imagination, eager to reach the library. Their mother trailed behind, her heart warmed by their enthusiasm. She loved these moments of shared discovery, a smile on her face. She knew that the library was a place where their imaginations could run wild and their minds could grow. The library doors creaked open, the sound echoing softly in the quiet hallway. It was a familiar and comforting sound, one that promised endless possibilities, revealing a warm and inviting space. Bookshelves lined the walls, filled with stories waiting to be discovered. The soft lighting created a cozy atmosphere, perfect for getting lost in a good book. Reaching for the high ceiling, the sheer number of books was awe-inspiring, each one a gateway to a different world. The air smelled of old paper and quiet whispers. Lily inhaled deeply. She loved the library. It was her sanctuary, a place where she could escape into the pages of a book and let her imagination soar.
Let's find something exciting to read, maybe a mystery or a fantasy adventure.
Jake whispered, his eyes sparkling. Lily nodded in agreement. They both loved the thrill of discovering new stories and characters. They spent the next hour browsing the shelves, their eyes scanning the titles and covers. Each book was a potential new adventure, a new friend waiting to be made, their fingers trailing along the spines of countless books. They loved the feel of the books, the promise of new stories and knowledge. Their mother settled into a comfy armchair, a book of fairy tales in her lap. She loved reading, and the library was her favorite place to relax and unwind. A book of fairy tales in her lap. She opened the book and began to read, losing herself in the magical world of fairy tales. The library was a place where they could all find something to love, something to inspire them. Lily and Jake found a cozy corner and sat down with their chosen books. They were completely absorbed, their imaginations taking flight as they read. Their eyes were wide with wonder as they turned the pages, each new chapter bringing new excitement and discovery. Their mother glanced up from her book and smiled at them. She was grateful for these moments of peace and joy, for the love of reading they all shared. Time seemed to stand still in the library, the hours passing by unnoticed as they lost themselves in their books. Eventually, it was time to leave. They checked out their books and left the library, their hearts full of new stories and adventures to look forward to. As they walked home in the fading light, they talked excitedly about the books they had chosen, already planning their next visit to the library. The library card was a ticket to endless adventures, a key to unlocking the magic of books. They couldn't wait to return and discover more. Back at home, they settled down with their new books, the joy of reading bringing them closer together. The library visit had been a success, and they looked forward to many more. Suddenly, a voice interrupted their quiet exploration.
Lily and Jake.
It was Mrs. Willowbrook, the librarian. She beamed at them, her glasses perched precariously on her nose.
Aren't you the children who solved the mystery of the Whispering Woods?
Lily and Jake exchanged shy smiles. Their adventure in the Whispering Woods had become a local legend. People were still talking about it. Mrs. Willowbrook pulled out a fresh notepad and a pen.
Could I have your autographs? My grandchildren would be thrilled.
Lily and Jake giggled but happily signed their names. They felt a surge of pride. They were famous. Mrs. Willowbrook seemed delighted.
I have something for you, Lily.
Mrs. Willowbrook said, disappearing behind a bookshelf. She returned with a slender book in her hand, and she said, I didn't recognize that it was you two that was on the TV. I brought this book that I know you are going to love. Lily asked, what is the name of the book? Mrs. Willowbrook answered. The name of the book is The Girl That Doesn't Know Her True Identity. Jake shouted, Can I read it first?
Lily replied, we can read it together and laugh.
Jake peered at the book, curiosity bubbling in his eyes.
Only for you to discover. It might hold answers to questions you haven't even thought to ask.
Lily's breath caught in her throat. What did Mrs. Willowbrook mean? What questions? She clutched the book tightly, her heart pounding. And look at the cover of the book and read the topic again. The girl that doesn't know her true identity. And then she said, I will find out what Mrs. Willowbrook mean and laugh. Suddenly, the library door burst open. A flustered man in a khaki uniform rushed in.
Has anyone seen a tiger? A baby tiger has escaped from the zoo.
The announcement sent a ripple of gasps and murmurs through the library. Mrs. Willowbrook gasped, her hand flying to her chest.
A tiger in our quiet town.
Lily and Jake exchanged a look. An escaped tiger? This was more exciting than any book.
Don't worry, sir. We'll help you find it.
Lily felt a familiar pull, a tingling sensation at the back of her neck. It was the same feeling she had experienced during their adventures in the Whispering Woods. It was as if the wind itself was calling out to her, urging her towards the missing tiger.
We can track it.
Lily said, her voice filled with a sudden, inexplicable confidence.
The wind will guide us.
Anything helps. The little guy can't have gone far.
The zookeeper looked doubtful but desperate, running a hand through his hair. Lily and Jake raced out of the library, the zookeeper trailing behind. The wind swirled around them, carrying a symphony of sounds. Rustling leaves, distant car horns, and a faint, almost inaudible growl. Lily closed her eyes, focusing on the whispers. They seemed to be leading her north towards the park.
This way.
Lily shouted, her blonde hair whipping around her face. She felt an odd sense of purpose, as if she was meant to find the tiger. Jake followed closely behind, his eyes scanning their surroundings. He trusted his sister's intuition. They had faced danger together before. They were a team. They weaved through bustling crowds, their small bodies dodging legs and shopping bags. The whispers grew stronger, guiding them past flower stalls and hot dog vendors. Lily could almost feel the tiger's presence, a mix of fear and excitement bubbling within her.
Do you think it's scared?
Jake asked, his voice barely audible above the city's din. Lily nodded.
He's probably just as lost as we are.
She said, picturing a small, frightened cub wandering through the unfamiliar streets. They reached the park gates, their chests heaving. The wind seemed to sigh, urging them forward. The tiger was close. Lily could feel it.
I smell him.
The park was quieter than the bustling streets, but the air crackled with anticipation. Lily inhaled deeply, catching a whiff of something wild and untamed, the scent of a tiger. Following their noses, they ventured deeper into the park. The whispers led them past a playground, a duck pond, and a group of startled pigeons. Finally, they reached a secluded grove of oak trees. The whispers seemed to settle here, swirling around a towering oak with gnarled branches. Suddenly, a figure emerged from behind the oak tree. The forest was eerily silent, the only sound being the rustling of leaves underfoot. The figure moved with an almost ethereal grace, blending seamlessly with the shadows cast by the towering trees. It was as if the forest itself had given birth to this mysterious presence, a guardian or perhaps a spectre of the woods. It was a woman, tall and slender, with long flowing hair the color of midnight. Her hair cascaded down her back like a waterfall of darkness, contrasting starkly with the vibrant greens and browns of the forest. Each step she took seemed deliberate, as if she was treading on sacred ground, aware of every twig and leaf beneath her feet. She wore a simple dress of forest green, and a silver pendant glinted at her throat. The dress, though unadorned, seemed to shimmer in the dappled sunlight, blending her even more with the surroundings. The pendant, intricately designed, caught the light in a way that made it seem almost alive, pulsating with a hidden energy. It was the same shade of green as the book Mrs. Willowbrook had given Lily. The book, now clutched tightly in Lily's hands, felt heavier, as if it carried the weight of the forest's secrets. She remembered Mrs. Willowbrook's words, "This book will guide you when the time comes." Was this the moment she had spoken of? Lily's breath caught in her throat. She felt a mix of fear and curiosity, her heart pounding in her chest. The air around her seemed to thicken, making it hard to breathe. She had always felt a connection to the forest, but this was different. This was tangible, real. The woman's eyes were the color of emeralds, and they seemed to shimmer with an ancient wisdom. Those eyes, deep and penetrating, seemed to look right through Lily, seeing her very soul. They held stories of ages past, of forgotten lore and ancient magic. Lily felt a strange comfort and unease at the same time. She moved with a quiet grace, like a willow swaying in the wind. Every movement was fluid, almost dance-like, as if she was in perfect harmony with the forest. The trees seemed to part for her, the leaves whispering secrets as she passed. It was a sight both mesmerizing and haunting. The woman smiled, but it wasn't a friendly smile. It was enigmatic, holding layers of meaning that Lily couldn't quite decipher. It was a smile that spoke of knowledge and power, of things hidden and things revealed. It was a smile that made Lily's skin prickle with anticipation and dread. It held a hint of sadness, a touch of warning. There was a melancholy in her eyes, a sorrow that seemed to span centuries. It was as if she carried the weight of the world on her shoulders, a burden that was both a gift and a curse. The warning in her smile was clear. Tread carefully, for the path ahead is fraught with danger.
We've been expecting you, Lily. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, yet it carried a power that resonated deep within Lily. It was a voice that commanded attention, that spoke of destiny and fate. Lily felt a shiver run down her spine. She knew in that moment that her life was about to change forever. The forest, the book, the woman. They were all pieces of a puzzle she was only beginning to understand.
Lily's heart pounded in her chest. How did this woman know her name? And what did she mean by we? Before Lily could speak, the woman gestured towards the oak tree. A low growl rumbled from its depths. Peeking out from behind the gnarled roots was the tiger cub, a ball of orange and black stripes, its eyes wide and innocent. The woman knelt before the cub, stroking its head gently.
He won't harm you. He was drawn to you just as we were.
Drawn to me? Lily stammered, confused. But why?
Because, Lily, you are different. You can hear the whispers. You have a gift.
Lily's mind raced. She couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was about to happen. Her thoughts swirled like a storm, each one more confusing than the last. What was the meaning behind all of this? Why now? Why her? A gift? What gift? She had never seen anything like it before. It was wrapped in an old tattered cloth, yet it seemed to glow with an otherworldly light. Who could have left it here in the middle of the woods? And why did it feel like it was meant for her? What did this woman know about her? The woman's eyes seemed to pierce through her very soul, as if she held all the answers to questions Lily hadn't even thought to ask. There was a familiarity in her gaze, a knowing that made Lily's skin prickle with unease. Before Lily could demand answers, her mind racing with 1,000 questions, she felt a sense of urgency. She needed to know who this woman was and what she wanted. But the words caught in her throat, her voice lost in the whirlwind of her thoughts. The woman rose to her feet with a grace that seemed almost ethereal. Her movements were fluid, like water flowing over smooth stones. There was an air of authority about her, a presence that commanded attention and respect.
Our time is short. They are coming. The woman's voice was calm but urgent, a stark contrast to the chaos in Lily's mind. Who were they? And why did it feel like the very air around them was thickening with impending danger?
And with a swirl of her green dress, which seemed to shimmer like the leaves in the sunlight, she turned away. The fabric caught the light, creating a mesmerizing dance of colors that momentarily distracted Lily from her questions. She vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but the faint scent of pine and a lingering sense of mystery. It was as if she had never been there at all, a figment of their imagination. The tiger cub disappearing alongside her. The small creature, which had been a silent observer, seemed to dissolve into the shadows, leaving Lily and Jake alone in the clearing. Lily and Jake stared at the empty space, their mouths agape. Who was this woman? Their minds were a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions, each one more bewildering than the last. They had so many questions and no answers in sight. What did she want with them? And who were they? The questions echoed in their minds, each one more pressing than the last. They felt a strange connection to the woman, as if their fates were somehow intertwined. One thing was certain, their adventure was far from over. They had only just begun to scratch the surface of the mystery that surrounded them. There was a whole world of secrets waiting to be uncovered, and they were determined to find the answers. The whispers had led them to a mystery far greater than they could have ever imagined. The forest seemed to hold its breath, as if it too was waiting for the next chapter of their journey to unfold. Every rustle of leaves, every distant call of a bird, felt like a clue waiting to be discovered, a mystery that was only just beginning to unfold. The path ahead was uncertain, but they knew they had to follow it no matter where it led. The adventure was calling, and they were ready to answer.